All right, good morning. We're already live streaming. It's a wonderful, amazing day. Good morning, Teresa. Good morning, Indiana. Good morning, Danielle. Let's get this morning started. We're picking back up in our last orientation chapter, and that is infection control. You see the slide shared, it's under federal agency. So this morning, let's discover who regulates the regulators. Okay, let's see who all is in charge of this. This is usually some dashboard stuff you don't see behind the scenes. Most of the time, we just want to buy a cleanser and a disinfectant, and we know we need to spray it, clean it, and go to work. We can go about our day, but we need to know who's behind the scenes. And the reason why we do that, number one, you will have references for state board prep. Number two, there are different regulations for different agencies, okay? And based on where you're located, those agencies may vary, all right, in what they require, what they don't require. And so when we look at federal agencies, we want to look at the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, aka OSHA. What I need you to know is if we are saying OSHA, OSHA, know what OSHA stands for. All right. If we're saying OSHA, know what OSHA stands for. And it stands for Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Okay. So it was created as part of the U.S. Department of Labor. It regulates and enforces safety and health standards to protect employees in the workplace. That's what you need to know. That's a standard. Okay. So OSHA is Occupational Safety and Health Administration. And what does it do? It regulates and enforces safety and health standards to protect employees in the workplace. Okay. So that's something we all have to make sure that we're going by the standards of OSHA when we're in the workplace. Okay. Also, if you see me highlighted in the same paragraph, it's MSDS. These are material safety data sheets. Okay. They also may call them SDS, safety data sheets. All right. Safety data sheets, material safety data sheets. Modern day, I, everybody is calling them SDS. But let me tell you something. I'm going Monday to the state board training, the PSI training. If they have changed the test, they've changed the verbiage to SDS, we must start picking up that verbiage as well. Okay. If they have changed the verbiage to SDS, we no longer will be saying MSDS. Okay. We'll just be saying safety data sheets. All right. That's going to be very important because you have to show safety data sheets at state board for your practical. All right. So very, 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 very important. All right. You may say, Ms. Cox, what are safety data sheets? Well, every product that you have, that you use, has to have some details attached to it. So if you're going to use a lash tint, okay, a tint for lashing, well, it's going to include a safety data sheet. It may not be included when you purchase it, but it should have a reference to a safety data sheet. What that safety data sheet tells me, it tells me the shelf life. It tells me um shelf life is how long I can keep it on the shelf. It tells me what happens to it if it's under heat conditions. It tells me what happens to it if it's under cold conditions. It tells me if it gets in my eye, what you should do. Okay. Safety data sheets. Safety data sheets. All right. They tell me also who can get this, who should put this service on, this product on, what it cannot go on, when you can use it, when you can't use it. It tells me all of the ingredients in the product. It tells me everything I need to know about that product. And that is the safety data sheet. Every disinfectant, every makeup item, every, man, anything that can be sold as far as foods, cosmetics, things of that nature has a safety data sheet. Um, Cleaning items, all of it have safety data sheets. Okay. If you have chemicals, when we get ready to go to state board, if you're taking a chemical to state board, cosmetologists are going to take nail monomer and polymer to state board. You need to have a safety data sheet. And so what we'll do is print that sheet off and put it in a little folder so you'll have it in your kit. Okay. Um, but again, we're going to state board on Monday. You guys will still have class on Monday, but I'm going to go to state board on Monday and we'll figure it out from there. All right. So if it's still in, we'll keep going. If they've removed it, I definitely let you know. But everybody has a safety data sheet. You may say, where do we find this? Okay. I gave you guys a website, makingcosmetics.com. On that website, which if you look up the ingredients and look up products, it attaches a safety data sheet. So you guys can Google safety data sheets for whatever product you want, and it should come up. Okay. So just always know that if you want to look at more of the makeup of that product, like the key ingredients, like what's really going on, did this really make my client do A, B, and C? You want to really do some research, you'll research the safety data sheet. It has everything you need to know on there. Then there's the Environmental Protection Agency. We call this the EPA. Okay. What do? They register all types of disinfectants sold and used in the United States. That's why I asked you to last Tuesday, go find a disinfectant. Look for the EPA registered number. And so each cleanser, each product is going to come through. Once it's approved, it has a registered number. That registered number is going to follow their product for the rest of his life. Okay. Just like a social. All right. So we can look that number up, and that number can tell us who makes it, where it comes from, what's in it, all the great details. Okay. Um, it can give us so much information. Now, with the United States, we don't really let a lot of things in that do not come through the Environmental Protection Agency. So if they can't pass or go through the EPA, you're probably going to have, you're holding like illegal product. Okay. So there are face creams. There are face creams from Europe that can't make it over here. Okay. There are Brazilian blowouts from Mexico, Brazil that can't be over here because they don't go through the Environmental Protection Agency. They don't have a registered. A lot of times the FDA has a big responsibility as well, so they're not coverage. And so many things out of the country, you say, "Oh, this works amazing," but the United States is like, "Nah, they don't fall in our category." So you can't have it, you can't sell it. It should not be even be over here, so it becomes illegal. And so the FDA, the EPA when it comes to cleansers and disinfectants and things of that nature, and FDA when it comes to cosmetics, foods, things of that nature. Got to meet our criteria. I know when I go to Toronto, go to Canada once a year, and I always stock up on like cold medicine, sinus medicine. Um, and it looks like, man, it looks like kind of like Dollar Tree stuff, but it is so like it's better than the stuff you pay $20-$30 for at the store. And you're only paying like $5-$6 for it. But I just stock up on it. It's just simply because it works. And I don't know, I can't find it over here, nowhere. Um, And I don't know because it has, and somebody did tell me that it had more of, ingredients to fight colds, flu, pneumonia, and things of that nature. So Toronto, Canada, got some good over the counter, and it's over the counter. You don't need a prescription for it. It's over the counter medications, and it is less than half the price. Less than half. And from just that experience, I feel like the United States, our stuff is just overly priced, just overly priced. But I'm really thinking about making a trip just so I can restock and turn around and come on back. This stuff is just that good. And so I would definitely do that. Also, when you're looking at the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, as we saw, registered numbers. And so it also regulates disinfectants. There are some disinfectants that literally are sold in stores that do not have a registered number. Okay. And so even though they might smell good, they look amazing, they're not um, what I would consider safe to be using. And even if you are using them, you are taking a chance, you're gambling. Okay. And so that's something to always look at as well. It's always a risk. Okay. It's always a risk. And it says disinfectants are chemical products that destroy most bacteria, excluding spores. I want you to understand what spores are. We talked about it Tuesday, but spores are the origination of the bacteria, okay? The growth of the bacteria, all right? And so disinfectants, it kills, it destroys most bacteria, excluding pores, fungi, viruses on surfaces. On widespread, disinfectants are sold everywhere. Okay, most of the time you'll go into um, a grocery store or you'll go into any store, and when you see disinfectants, for cosmetologists, service workers, hospitals, we have to have a disinfectant that kills three things: viruses, bacteria, and fungus. So you have disinfectants that range all these different things that it kills. But when it comes to service providers, um, the beauty industry and the hospitals, we have to have those disinfectants that kill minimum bacteria, fungus, and viruses. You start to look at your stuff in the stores, and you'll see that um, it may say um, fungi and it may say bacteria, or one says virus and may say bacteria. Most of the time, those disinfectants that kill what we needed to kill at a minimum are not found in Kroger. They're not found in Walmart. So, you have to seek out those stronger disinfectants. In the hospital, they use quartz, and they may also use phenols, which can be toxic at times, but they have to have something strong to really kill. People are coming in and out. They got sick people. They got to have something really strong. And so that's why we also should be protecting ourselves and going into the hospitals, because just by us going into the hospital visiting, we can get sick. Okay. And so it says it's against federal law to use any disinfectant product in a way contrary to use indicated on its label. It's against the law to use bleach outside of what it's supposed to be used for. All right. That's simply what it said. And also, whenever you're purchasing a disinfectant, always look for the EPA registered number. Okay. It's going to be near the manufacturer's name. You're going to know that they went and did everything they needed to do. Here's an example. Clipper disinfectants must be approved by the EPA for use with clippers in specific environments such as barbershops or manufacturer, or the manufacturer will be breaking federal law. So they're marketing this disinfectant to barbers without going through EPA. It is against the law. All right. And it also means if you don't follow the label instructions for mixing, contact time, and type of disinfectant, type of surface the disinfecting product can be used on, you are not complying with federal law. It's a whole lot of laws around here. Mix accordingly. Who would have ever thought that if you mix your measurements and it was off, that you would be, against the law? And so make sure that you're mixing um, correctly, adding the right amount of water. Water is a universal solvent. Most of these disinfectants are concentrated. And if you're not adding the right amount of water, you are you have poison. Okay. You have poison, basic toxins, phenols. So you need to dilute it with that universal solvent to make sure um, things are going okay. Such as you're going to see this blue disinfectant at school. When you guys see this disinfectant at school, let's see, make sure everybody's in here. Okay. When you see this blue disinfectant, we have instructions on how to mix this. Somebody is texting us. Okay. So here it says you can find a list of disinfectants approved. You can go on EPA.gov. Okay. You're going to enter the registration number. And when you do that, you'll be able to see if that all the details related to that disinfectant. Okay. Disinfectants are not listed as hospital grade, but instead listed based on the pathogens they are effective against. All right. Products on the list D must meet the criteria of most states for hospital disinfectants. So when we're looking for D grade, we want to D grade is for hospital. Products on the E meet the tuberculocidal in those states where there is required. Now here's the thing. In Tennessee, long time ago, we had an issue with yellow fever, and personal service workers were required to get tuberculosis shots. And you may say, Ms. Cox, who are personal service workers? Cosmetologists, I want to say beauticians, but cosmetologists, estheticians, manicurists, natural hair, anyone that deals with people, also nurses, doctors, okay? Anyone who deals with people for a living. You interact, interchange with people for a living. You are considered a personal service worker. Okay. So personal service workers used to have so many vaccinations because it was so much stuff coming in. And back in the day, Memphis, the Mississippi River, Tumley Park is where people came in, So it was before you could enter the city, you had to be checked out in Tumley Park. And if you had yellow fever, you had to be quarantined. There's other things. You had to be quarantined in particular areas of the park until they felt like that had passed on. Then you could move about into the city. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So I want to make sure you guys understand that hospital level disinfectants are totally different from those that you use in your household. This is why when you see bleach, hydrochloride, when you see bleach, there are different types of bleach. There's household bleach, then there's hospital level bleach. Okay. There's also a bleach for commercial properties, landscaping, construction. All right. So when you're in Home Depot, Lowe's, things of that nature, and you say, oh, okay, they got a sale on bleach, read the container and make sure that it's household bleach because it could be too strong for your home. could be for commercial. And so just make sure you check that out. Okay. And so we're looking at state regulatory agencies. Right now, the regulatory agency of each state is the state board. So our school is regulated and licensed under the Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology. Okay. There are regulating agency. You can go to the Tennessee.gov website and you will see all of the regulating agencies, from real estate to security to inspectors to cosmetology to so much. So if anybody has a license to do anything in the state of Tennessee, it comes from this Tennessee.gov website. Once you go to regulatory agencies, click that. After clicking regulatory agencies, go to cosmetology. From cosmetology, it's going to take you to the Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology. Okay, that's who regulates us. The politicians will set laws in place, and then the board sets rules. Y'all remember that. Politicians set the laws in place, and then the board sets the rules. So by the time, just this for instance, to talk about the eyelash license. By the time the eyelash license got to the floor of the House of Representatives, it was passed. The only thing the state board could do was set rules. And the rules were pretty much included in the law. The rules were how much it's going to cost. That's all they could do. And basically, who can offer the course. All right. The law included a lot of significant details, almost took the power from state board. It included all the details. Okay. So that was in the law. And that's sometimes what we have to look at. Anything in Tennessee as far as cosmetology, barbering, the law starts with your representative. And so I guess some people will start to get out there and vote too, based on who your representative is for your neighborhood, your zip code, whatever. That representative, it has the power to change the laws in cosmetology and barbering. Okay. Once they introduce the changes or the new law that they want, then the House picks it up. Once it passes, it goes to the Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology. It's a law that usually happens July 1st and January and July. You'll see new laws, new things come into place. Okay. And so at the end of the day, if you want anything changed, seek out your representatives. And from there, if it passes the Senate, things like that, then you'll move on to the rules where we come in, Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology. We must follow the rules. If we're going to hold a license that's regulated by law, we must follow the rules. Okay. And the rules are set as far as Tennessee State Board, Tennessee State law, and Tennessee State rules. And so you can find all of that on the website. And we'll have a whole week or two that we go over all of it. But I'm gonna drop laws and stuff like that every week. Okay, so everybody just get used to it. You're gonna get some part of state law every week. And you got about 10 questions of state law on your exam for your test. So that's the state regulatory agencies. This is what they say. Mississippi is a little stricter than Tennessee. So Mississippi and Tennessee are not the same boards. They regulate things differently. California is different than Texas. Texas is different than Tennessee, but Texas and Tennessee are very, very close as far as what they regulate. Okay. Oregon, Washington, Baltimore, DC, All of those are different. So no matter where you want to go, your license can be transferred or it just, what we call move about. Okay. It's and it depends on what state that you're going to, that you would not have to deal with trying to renew a license. In some places, your license in Tennessee is good. It's 5 or 6 other states. Okay. It's when it's certain states around us that is not particularly good at. So you still have to do a reciprocity if you're going over to Tennessee. You still got to do a reciprocity if you're going over to Georgia. Okay. And so the state boards, your first contact would be to those state boards to give you all of the details if you're trying to work in another state. Okay. And still be lawful, still follow the law. Now, once you get licensed, our state regulatory agency, Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology, it sets the rules in place, but also if we break the rules, there are penalties in place. All right. And penalties are fines. And let me tell you, none of the fines, they're going for the max with the fines. The fines could be minimum of $10, but most of the time, the fines are a max of $1,000, and they're charging you the max every time that you break. Any questions? Once you're licensed, can the state come in and take your license? Yep. If you're breaking the rules, if there's a consistency, if you acquire a felony while you have a Tennessee State Board license, there's a penalty. Okay. Can you get your license after the felony? Yeah. There's procedures you got to go through to get it back. Okay. So we have to make sure that when we get our license, we stay on the up and up. Do you have to pay your child support? Yep. It's a Tennessee license. They can take it. So you got to be very, very careful in what you do, especially if this license is how you're going to make your money. It's how you're going to move forward. Very, very careful in what you do and what you say, because it's your livelihood. Okay. So you want to make sure we stay on the up and up, that we are lawful. So we don't have to have any strikes against our license. So we make sure we follow the rules and all the regulations pertaining to our Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology. And here's a state board thing as well. It may say, where is the state board located for each state? It's always going to be in the capital. So Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology is located in the capital of Nashville. Nashville is the capital for Tennessee. Go to the chat real quickly. Who would be interested in attending a state board meeting in Nashville? We would have to leave like on a Sunday or early Monday morning. Who would be interested in going to Nashville and literally sitting in a state board meeting? Go to the chat. Let me see what you're thinking. It'll be an all-day field trip. I think we took our last class to Nashville for the meeting. They got to see people had their license restricted. People had their license. They granted their license. Is there anybody that would like to go to the state board meeting in Nashville? Okay. Yes, no, maybe.
Hold on.
Go to the chat. Yes, no, maybe. One thing about me not requiring your cameras, I do require
Come on,
interact.
Ray.
I do
Grab my
require.
charger. No, mind, I got a car charger.
Please mute your phones.
Make me be able to do my hair.
If you're on the other side, I do require you to comment in the chat. I don't require your camera, but I do require you to be interactive. And if you're not going to be interactive, remember, you're not going to be on Zoom. I'm gonna clock you out. I'm not talking about the state board. Oh, that's just for school owners. Yeah, I'm not talking about the state board uh meeting for Monday. I'm not talking about that. It's just in general sitting in a state board meeting where they're setting the laws for your career. Okay. So just a warning. Let's just consider that a warning. I don't ask for much, but you must interact. Okay. We look at laws and rules. It says, what is the difference? Like I just told you, laws are written by both federal and state legislators, just your representatives. Um, Laws are called statutes. Please take note. You will need to know the difference between laws and rules. Laws are written by your state representatives, okay, your federal and state legislators. Rules are once the laws are in place, then the rules come about and your regulatory agency sets the rules. What break that down, Ms. Cox? Okay. Laws are presented and passed by your representatives, your politicians. Once the once it's passed, it goes to the state board. The state board sets the rules. Okay. They say how much something's going to cost, how long it should take for you to get through with that program. What's the penalty if the people break the rules? That's what the state board does. Okay. The caution, remember, beauty professionals are not allowed to treat or recommend treatments for infections, diseases, abnormal conditions. Customers with such problems should be referred to their physicians. If you're caught treating clients with diseases that you're saying, oh, I go ahead and do your quickly, and you know that client has a contagious disease, you will be fined. Your shop could be closed. They could take your license. That's your livelihood. So let's not bet on the chance just to make a few bucks because your everything could be taken away from you. All right. So just make sure you're following all the rules and all the laws. Recognizing the principles of infection. So now we're going to discuss the principles of infection, but I do have some highlighted areas. Remember, when you see a bold term, disease, you need to make sure that you are following that. Disease is an abnormal condition of all or part of the body, its systems, its organs, okay, that makes the body incapable of carrying on normal functions. You do not want the body to have disease. And so if we look at the building blocks of the body, we have cells, a group of like cells turn into tissues, a group of like tissues turn into organs. Each organ has a system, and all of those systems work together to make the body do what it's supposed to do. Okay. So when you have disease, especially a disease of an organ, that's disease of a whole system. That's a whole, so that system is very weak. It becomes very damaged, and it can't hold up its part of making the body healthy. So it puts a little extra stress, a little bit on something else. Okay, a little bit of extra stress on other systems, and it starts to work them a little bit hard. And here's the thing: if those organs, that organ is diseased, blood has to go through there, circulatory system goes through there, general circulatory system. Okay. And so your blood starts to pick up particles of that disease and takes it to every other organ in the body. And so now you're talking about stuff spreading, um, really not where we need to be. Hold on one moment. This is a student. All right. All right. So as we look in here and talking about disease, y'all, we cannot diagnose anyone. We can't say you got this, you got that. We have to refer them over to a physician. Please make sure that we're doing that. Okay. We cannot service clients with disease of the skin, disease of the face, disease of the scalp. They got anything going on that exposes that. They need to go get service from a physician first, get seen. Once they're seen from the physician and get on the treatment, then they come back to us and we work with them. All right. So you have to know that infections they have to see a physician and then return. Disorders we can treat. All right. We can treat as far as disorders. Hold on one moment. Okay, I'm sorry. I had a little mix up for a minute. Thank you guys for giving me that opportunity to speak with somebody. All right. So as I was stating, disease we're not able to service, disorders we can. We cannot tell anybody that this is what's going on, especially if it's like, oh, you have cancer. You cannot say that. Not at all. Not at all. Okay. If you see any signs of anything, you have to refer them out. Tell them that you think it's very imperative that they go see a physician. All right. So when it comes to infection, preventing the spread of infection or invasion of the body tissues by disease-causing pathogens is possible when you know proper procedures and follow them at all times. The biggest thing is our skin. Our skin is the largest organ of the body. Our skin is the major protection of everything. So if we break the skin, we allow opportunities for infection. Okay, so we want to make sure we preserve the skin as much as possible and we educate our clients about preserving the skin. So that simply means estheticians, cosmetologists, our number one goal is to always look at the skin, whether it's on the face, it's on the scalp, making sure there's no openings, no cuts, no bruises. Okay. If any of those are present and we're proceeding with services, certain ingredients, chemicals can cause those areas to open up, spread, get even more a deeper infection. So we want to make sure that's not the case at all. Okay. Also, effective infection control also influences the professional image of your establishment. Okay. So you want to look when a client walks in, they want this cleanliness look. Okay. They want this cleanliness look when they walk in. And so you want to make sure that you are clean, your station, that your salon suite, find out when you're in your agreement with your owners, like what are my responsibilities when it comes to sanitation. Also, yesterday before I started talking about the back treatments, notice I started talking about how it looks because I know a lot of people they record content. And so you got to be mindful of what the background looks like when you are recording content. Okay. So I started with neat practices first, how you want it to look and things of that nature. And remember, clients buy into that. And when they buy into that, they pretty much have already signed, sealed, delivered before you even did any services. Okay. They want to make sure that you're taking care of them. It says all of the sights, sounds, smells, and textures of the salon, spa, or barbershop, they mend together to form the first impression. So, first impressions are always everything. Making sure it's a clean and orderly business is going to help build your clientele. So it speaks for you even when you're not speaking. Okay. Let's look at modes of transmission. All right. Just look at this handshake. You have two modes of transmission, direct and indirect. When you see the terms, you already know that's something you should be studying. Okay, I'm going to highlight direct transmission. It's commonly think of in terms of getting sick as it involves the transmission of germs from touching, kissing, coughing, sneezing, or talking. Okay, handshaking, direct transmission. Indirect transmission, very interesting. Doorknobs, phones, razor, extractor pins, nippers. Okay, all those are indirect transmission. Food prep surfaces. Okay, indirect transmission. Someone has came in contact with a surface and that germ has now started to spread, and that's how that person received that, you know, that I don't want to say infection, but that's how they probably received the bacteria. They came in contact with something. And I'm going to say, for instance, when we talk about doorknobs, we talk about toilet handles, things that people touch a lot. If you're a suite or salon owner, your job is always cleaning. You're always the janitor because you should be taking their wiping the knobs. Okay. Stuff that people touch all the time. It should be a no-brainer that we're wiping it down. Okay. Stuff that people touch all the time because you don't want them to touch something and then they get bacteria that may cause an infection from your facility. So, and then there's direct, okay? Sneezing, talking, coughing, not covering mouth, kissing, you directly, intertwined and receive that bacteria. So direct transmission versus indirect transmission. Okay. So make sure you look at that. We did talk about the doorknobs. It's the number one contact surfaces, has so many germs and bacteria on the doorknob and the toilet handle. Okay. We look at airborne and respiratory droplets. Here's the thing with airborne and respiratory droplets. Y'all, you get cough, sneeze in the air, uncovered. That's going to linger for about 6 hours. It's going to linger for about 6 hours. You have people constantly coming in, walking through, and that bacteria is now that's indirect. It's now going to start to just linger, may pick up on someone's clothes. It may land in someone's mouth when they're talking. It just, you never know when it's going to strike. Okay. And so the disinfectant spray not only surfaces, but also should be sprayed throughout the air. Okay. Be careful that you're not taking a inhaling double dose, but you want to be able to kill the bacteria. Okay. That lingers. And those are the droplets. Also, think about this. Um, Taking Kleenex with you or coughing or sneezing in your elbows, wearing a mask. Y'all do what's needed to make sure that you can protect yourself. They say it's a new strain of COVID. I'm not sure. There's a lot of stuff going around. Stuff is being picked up at schools and things of that nature. So this is the time now to protect ourselves and just move into just a place of preparation for what's to come if you know the fall and winter months are around the corner. We do have some terms that I want to review here. Um, and these terms, remember what I stated before, you're going to see them again, and you must understand the terms in order to know what the question is asking. So there's a big deal between cleaning and sanitizing, cleaning and disinfecting. Okay. So we're going to go over just a few of these and make sure you understand spores. So when you come into the building when I see you again on Tuesday, we're going to have maybe a review of the terms, okay, that we've seen so far. Let's start with infectious disease, okay? It's caused by a harmful bacteria, pathogenic, a harmful bacteria, pathogenic organisms that enter the body. So an infectious disease is caused by bad bacteria that enters the body. You want to make sure that nose, mouth, ears, eyes do not come in contact with bacteria because it can pick it up. Those are entryways into the body. On top of that, you have cuts, scrapes, burns. That's how bacteria can enter the body as well. You want to make sure the skin is moist, hydrated, lubricated, whatever you need to do because dry, brittle, cracked skin breaks and is an entryway for bacteria. Let's look at cleaning. It's a mechanical process using soap and water or detergent and water to remove all visible dirt, debris, and many disease-causing germs from tools, implements, and equipment. Let me just say this. Any cotton materials, they cannot be left out. Cotton materials have to be trash because they pick up dirt and bacteria debris and it holds on to the cotton. You don't want to then take that cotton and use it on the client. You're delivering direct transmission of bacteria to this person's skin, this person's scalp. So no reusable towels. Okay. Once you use that towel once, you cannot reuse it again. Even though barbers had the right to reuse their towels if they rinsed them in hot water, that law has since gone away in Tennessee a couple of years ago. And so one towel, one person. And also when I talk about cotton supplies, I'm talking about neck strips. I'm talking about, of course, towels, cotton rounds, 4x4s, 2x2s. I see too much of that out, and it's a waste of product and a waste of money. It can be stored inside of a Ziploc bag and a container. So going forward, I'm gonna be stressing because I see this a lot. Um, And in an aesthetic area, I saw the top off of the sticks. Everything has a place. So please make sure that sticks are in their container and there's a top on it. And also any gauze that's out has to be thrown away. Cotton that's out has to be thrown away. We cannot just let them sit and accumulate dirt and bacteria and then use them on people. Okay, so we have to make sure everything has a place and has to be thrown away if it's not. All right, so we have to make sure that we're in our Ziploc bags or we're in our little plastic boxes. And cleaning, just say extractor tools, dermaplaning tools, your combs, your brushes. You're going to go through cleaning first with soap and water before you put them in your barbericide solution. Cleaning is going to be your number one thing, soap and water, then your barbericide solution. Okay. So the process of disinfection involves the use of chemicals to destroy most, but not necessarily all. And so you do cleaning first, then we'll move to disinfection. Okay. And the only time that we would kill bacterial spores is in sterilization. Sterilization is going to include one way you boiling that item in 212 degrees Fahrenheit, boiling water. Okay, it's going to kill the spores. But also, there are these sterilizers that are mandated by the Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology that every business must have, such as salons, barbershops, nail shops, skin shops, and schools. We got to have them in there. Okay. And so, just say, for instance, combs and brushes. You clean them first, then you disinfect them in the solution. Take that out of the solution, rinse that solution off, pat dry, and put them inside of the sterilizer, the cabinet. Once they sit in there for said amount of time, you will take them out and store them either in your plastic container or your Ziploc bag. They are ready to be used after that again the next day or whatever you're going to do. But that's how it's going to go. Your extractors for pimples, you're going to wash them with soap and water. Once you wash with soap and water, you're going to let them sit in a disinfectant jar. Once it sits in that solution for a set amount of time, you're going to rinse that solution off. Then you're going to pat dry and you're going to place that extractor tool inside of your wet sterilizer, your dry sterilizer cabinet. Once it has set in there a set amount of time, you will take it out. You will store it in this container or a Ziploc bag. Okay, that's how we're going to operate. That's how we should all be operating when it comes to cleanliness and making sure our tools, our equipment, our implements are clean. Okay, here's cleaning and disinfecting procedures. We'll come down to the bottom and we've exceeded, of course, our 50 minutes of time. So I do want to go over this last page here and I'm going to give assignment. We're going to start our terms on index cards. We'll start that up this weekend. We'll finish it. We'll put a due date on it. But right now, let's just, every term you see, let's go ahead and get us some index cards. You're going to put term on the front, definition on the back. Please do not write them all on a sheet of paper. It would not be accepted. Please do not put 3 or 4 terms on an index card. It will not be accepted. It's one term per index card. Okay? Term on the front, definition on the back. And that's for everybody on this call today. You have about 2 weeks to finish it. I give you a date when I get back from Nashville, but just start. And we already have at least 10 terms already. Bactericidal, virucidal, fungicidal. Remember, you're going to see those a lot. Remember them, you're going to see them a lot. In salons and spas, we must be using something that kills bacteria, kills viruses, and kills fungi. It should say on the bottle that it's a bactericidal, a virucidal, and a fungicidal. Okay? At a minimum, disinfectants used in salons, spas, and barbershops must be. This is just one, two, three. So people like Fabuloso, people like Awesome, people like a lot of good stuff. Make sure it has a regulatory number, EPA regulatory number on it. But also make sure it has these three in here that kill viruses, bacteria, and fungus. We deal with people every day and they come in with so much. Okay. So we need to make sure that for Miss Ann, who hasn't even made her appointment, but you know she's coming, we have to make sure that she's good when she comes into the building. Okay. So it starts with us. Make sure we have that. You can get you some wipes like we have, or you can get the solution. We have the solution as well. Okay. Bactericidal, capable of destroying bacteria, obvious. Virucidal, capable of destroying viruses, and fungicidal, capable of destroying mold and fungus. So if you're gonna do nails, foot tubs, shampoo bowls, especially shampoo bowls and foot tubs, we have to make sure that we're using something that kills all three of these. Because people skin come in contact, they lay down, they become comfortable, their feet it comes in contact. And it can pick up anything. The littlest cut can pick up anything and cause a major issue. Okay. I do want to discuss with you about HBV, which is hepatitis B, MRSA, HIV. Okay. It says the list of pathogens against which is effective should include HIV, HBV, and MRSA. Okay. Um, Here's the thing with MRSA. You'll have to go through blood transfusions with MRSA. A lot of time MRSA is not a lot of time. It is mm, which means you can't go get a antibiotic to clear it up. It has to go through. It's something that it sets over into the blood, and the blood has to be cleaned. Okay, so you have blood transfusions. Sometimes you can get MRSA by going in the hospital visiting people. When I say going in the hospital visiting people, in their bed, eating their food. Sometimes it's just bacteria that just sit there that make you sick in the hospital. Like you did not come sick, but it makes you sick in the hospital. You got it while you were in the hospital. Okay. So MRSA is a part of the Staphylococci family or staph infection family. Okay. So make sure we check that out. HBV, hepatitis B virus, and HIV, even though we have a lot of disinfectants to say they do a whole lot of things, these three seem to be very resistant. Okay. So making sure we keep our hands clean, we having conversations with our clients. When we see something, we definitely say something. EPA registration number. Now the barbicide, HIV-1, coronavirus-1, the barbicide kills so much stuff, and we just hadn't even hit the surface of some of the things that it kills and it prevents. Okay, so make sure that you are reading up on those disinfectants that you guys choose, even the barbicide. If you took the barbicide certification, read that up. The EPA registration number, and the words. You're looking for the words bactericide, virucide, and fungicide, just to make sure that it does what it's supposed to do. And make sure you're using the right water amounts to dilute the product as well. And this just talks about making sure you do this prevention 101, and then we're going to close out with personal habits. It says in general, it's already highlighted. The risk of infection can be greatly reduced with a few simple steps. You're going to eliminate pathogens through proper hand washing, cleaning, and disinfecting. Okay. Clean and disinfect tools and equipment after every use. So, which means every time you use your facial steamer, you're going to clean and disinfect. Okay. Every time you use your facial steamer, you're going to clean and disinfect. Every time you do everything else, you're going to clean and disinfect. Even for your stations, everything should be clean and disinfected. Okay. You're going to keep the skin intact, reduce portals for entry to bacteria, which means you need it lubricated. You don't need to crack, you don't need it to open. You're going to wear gloves. Be prepared to turn away clients who show signs of illness, signs of infection. You cannot service these clients. All right. Remember, you are not licensed to diagnose the illness or infection. I can't tell you. I tell you that look like skin cancer, but it has some properties I want you to investigate. Go to see your physician. I can't tell you that it is skin cancer. Get it? Looking at some personal habits. Personal. It takes 21 days to break or form a habit. This is the wellness component that we can educate our clients about. Okay, what they eat, they become. What you say, you become. Okay, you start overworking yourself. You leave out. You don't have any time to take care of the cleaning component of the business. So you need to make sure you're putting your personal habits in place, whether they're good or bad, and improving on the bad. Okay. Hand washing needs to be a personal habit. And the state law says that you must wash your hands before every client. Okay. And so, how many times you went into a beauty service and you've seen people not wash their hands before every client? They're really working against the law. All right. So, all of that must be in check. I will be at the school tomorrow. We do have class from 10 to 2 tomorrow. Um, and we'll be servicing clients. I know for Cosmo, we need to go over the back treatment. And so we introduced it yesterday. We introduced spa treatments as well. And those spa treatments were, of course, high stones. We took a look and discovered the cold globes versus the hot stones. Also, we looked into different products that are great to be used with a high frequency. We looked at coffee scrubs, how they benefit cellulites and smooths out the skin texture. And then also, I didn't bring them home, but the little cold stones for body contour. And so we also had the saran wrap out there as well. And so for aesthetics, we're looking at more spa components this week and next week. And when I say spa components, it's like we're concerned now with the overall body. We had been concerned with the face, had services that just dealt with the face, the hands, things of that nature. And now we have to go a little deeper and be concerned with the wellness of the body. And that's where your day spa services come in at. Okay, so I want my estheticians to be well rounded. And so please make sure to be talking up that you need clients to come in because you need to practice. Same is going to be so for my cosmetologist in the next 2 weeks because we've been learning how to cut. And so we've been doing the fundamentals of cutting. Then we'll cut to style, and then we'll need to do a demo on a real person. Okay. And so we'll move forward from there. I know Cosmo is getting into traditional hair designing next week. And so that should always be fun, just incorporating some cutting as well. If anyone has any questions or concerns, you know how to contact me. Oh, please contact me via DCI Cosmo at gmail.com. A lot of times I don't see the phone or I have the phone. And if a lot of messages come through, I miss it. Then I'm looking like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, like, man, my student texts me and I don't want to text you at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So feel free to call or to email. The text and the phone, it just kind of gets screwed up, and I got about 400 texts I haven't trying to get back to now. So you guys know how that is sometimes. But have a great and amazing Tuesday. I will be on tonight with the night course with um, infection control. So if anyone wants to jump on, want to get another dose of infection control, please feel free. We're back on tonight at 6 p.m. Y'all have a great and amazing day. I'll see you in the building Friday, or I'll see you next week. Y'all be blessed.